this is Sonia with Artsy Solutions, and I want to show you how I made these tags using the Bigz Trinket Frames dies and the Steampunk Parts die. And this is what they look like. And I'll go over it in more detail at the end. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get started. And I'm just going to show you how I'm getting ready to use these two Sizzix Bigz dies by Tim Holtz. The first one is Steampunk Parts. You can see that or not. And then the second one is Trinket Frames. So I'm getting ready to start dyeing, and I'm using some 65-pound cardstock. This is cream. I think I got it from the Seashore collection from Recollections at Michael's. So I've got my base plate or A plate, and then I've got my dye, got my paper, and then my B plate. And I just keep the blue one as the one that stays smooth, and then the clear one as the one that can get cut. That's how I distinguish which plates to use or how to arrange them. I'm just going to run it through my die. And I have all my parts. And I'm going to die cut a few of them because I want to make them somewhat thick, and then I also want to change the color of some of them. So I'm going to use a piece of chipboard to run through the die next. And I'm going to do the same with the frames. So I've just got some chipboard laying around. And I'm just going to feed it through. And I've got all my pieces. I'm just going to set those over to the side. And I like to hold on to my negatives because a lot of times I'll make projects with them. So I'm just going to set it over there. And that's all I'm going to do with this die. Then I'm ready to cut out the trinkets. Okay, so once again I've got my A plate, my die, my fabric, my material, and then I've got the B plate. Just going to run it through. And they cut out perfectly. And I'm also going to keep the inner portion of it because I can use this as a label. And I can do the same with this. So I'm going to set this to the side. And then I'm going to use the beige color cardstock and do the same thing. Okay, so I'm going to emboss some of these, and I'm going to use the 3D texture fades. Foundry, you can see that or not, and also Mechanics, these two. And I'm just going to give some texture to these. So I'm gonna do the framelits, the Trinket Frames or whatever they're called. I'm gonna do those, and I'm gonna also do the Steampunk Parts. Couldn't think of the name of this right here. So I'm gonna move some of these around. What I'm going to do is to use this 3D embossing folder. You need your standard platform or extended this has the extended platform that came with it. And I've got my A plate or flat, whatever you want to call it, A or B. And then what I want to do is I'm going to add some spray. I'm going to add some of this Princess Blue by Glimmer Mist. Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist. And I'm going to spray the inside on both the, I guess you could call them cavities, I don't know, the inner and upper part of the embossing folder. And I'm just going to put some of these in there. I'm going to do one of each. Then I'm just going to press it down. And you don't need a B plate when you're using the 3D texture fades. Only when you have your regular embossing folders is when you need your A plate and your B plate. So I'm just going to send this through. You only have to do it one time, but I'm just going to send it back through. And you'll notice you're going to have some ink from your spray. That's fine. So we're going to take these out. And not only is it embossed, but you've got some highlighted colors on there too. And I'm going to let that dry and we're going to do some more stuff to it. Okay, so now I've embossed all of these. And I'm just going to pick some up so you can kind of get an idea of what it's looking like. My hands are all jacked up from the ink, but you can see some embossing right there on each side. So I'm basically just going to dry them off. I'm going to take the heat embossing tool and I'm going to draw all these off and I'll be right back. Okay, so now all these are dry and I'm just going to go back over them with a little bit of color box. No, actually I think I'm going to use some walnut stain. I'm just going to go over each one with a little bit of walnut stain just to kind of distress it a little bit. And I'm making sure I get up inside the inner parts of these. And after I do the brown, the walnut stain, I'm going to come back with a little bit of black soot. And I'm just going to kind of go over the raised edges or the bumps that are in here, or the embossed parts. And I'll also go around the inside. And you can see what it looks like. You can see some of the embossed areas. It's more detailed. So I'm going to go over all of these like that and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm going to use some alcohol markers. These, I have like a bluish set and like a black and gray set. So These are by Firefly. And I'm gonna start, I'm gonna start using some of the blue, like a lighter shade of blue, and I'm gonna use the fine tip because you have a fine tip and a broad tip, so I'm gonna use the fine one. This one is color number 66. What is that? Baby blue. I'm just gonna see what that looks like on some of these raised up areas, just to kind of see how it brings it out on these little bolts. See if that makes any difference. Make it pop. And I'm just going to go around the creases to make it stand out. Anywhere there's an embossed area, I'm just going to highlight it. To give it more shadow. I don't know if you can really see that or not. Make sure up against the lighter backdrop. Okay. And I have a Dilutions paint pen. This is white linen. And I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm just going to kind of highlight just some areas. Not all, but just some. Okay, so now I'm getting ready to assemble some of these. I'm getting ready to move the frames out of the way. I'll get to those in a little bit. So we're going to focus on these little steampunk things, or whatever they're called. This right here broke, but I can still use it. So I'm just going to add some art glitter glue. Art glitter glue. And I'm just going to glue it on. going to try to make it look similar to the picture. And if you look carefully, you'll see the embossed, like, circular area where you're supposed to apply this at. And then if you look carefully, you'll see that there are two parts to this. There's a base, which is the little black part. And then there's the screw or the bolt that goes over top of it. Well, if I can get it. So I'm going to assemble those two together first before I put it on here. So I'm just going to get a little bolt and glue it to the black. You may need a pair of tweezers for this. And I'm just going to glue all these together and I'll be right back. Okay, I just wanted to kind of do like a close-up of what some of these little bolts looks like. So you can see them. You have your backdrop and then you have the bolt. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom back out a little bit. And we're going to glue these bolts back onto the surface of the part. Slide this back. And I am going to use my tweezers to pick these up. And I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the bottom. And then just place them on here. And each one gets 6. And I'm trying to get them like spread apart evenly. I didn't get it quite as well as I wanted to on this one, but I'm just going to wing it on the next one. So here are two of them. Okay, so I've assembled these, and I went on ahead and I made some extra of the frame trinkets, and I made them using a different color. And I used some the Heidi Swap Color Shine, and this is gold. So, and I still also went around the edges with some Distress Oxide inks. So I'm going to show you how to use these in a project. I've started working on a little book. It's going to have my sons in it, and so I'm just going to put this bolt, or this whatever it's called, I'm going to put it on top of the book. Not sure how I want it, but I cut out a 2-inch circle punch, 2.5-inch circle punch. I'm just going to glue this to it, because to me it needs white to back, you know, the contrast of colors that are on the cover of the book. So that's what I'm going to use. I'm just going to glue this on. It doesn't have to be perfect because it's going to get covered in, or a portion of it's going to get covered. So you're going to take one of your fans or gears or whatever these little things are, and I think I'm going to use a red one. Yeah, I think I'll use a red in the middle. And I think I'm just going to leave this hole open. I'm not sure. I might put something in it. I'm not real sure yet what I'm going to do. Then I think I'll put this blue on top of it, because I might add a brad or something in the center of it, just to kind of give it a kick or make it pop. There's that. As a matter of fact, I think I will add a brad. I think I'll just use a black one. Yeah, I'll just use black. These are by Bo Bunny, double dot brads. Grab one. I'm going to take my paper piercer, or you could use a hole punch, but I'm just going to use a paper piercer. Pierce a hole through there. And it's basically just for looks. It's not really serving much of a purpose. And then I want to set this. I think I'll put it down here. Yeah. I think I'll lift it up. I'll have part of it glued against here, and then the other portion right here. And I'm just going to use, instead of using the dots, I've got some old cardboard from a box, and I'm just going to use this to lift up the thing. So I'm going to glue these two together. Just to make it thick. Instead of using foam dots, I'm just going to use this as a substitute. I'm just going to glue. I'm going to glue it to one side. And then I'm just going to add glue to the bottom of it. And then I'm also going to add glue to the other side of it so that it can stick to the cardboard or stick to the book. So that's how I used this one. And then I'm going to show you how to use these frames. And basically I've got some pictures that I want to frame. Let's see, here's one of my son, my youngest son. So I think I'm going to glue this frame to the picture. This is a picture of him when he was outside. We were at the park, out walking, and he was wanting to climb up on that dome or whatever that is. And I'm just simply going to cut out around it. You want to make sure that it's dry. And that it sticks pretty good. I'm using some art glitter glue, so I think that kind of works pretty well with this. I'm just kind of coming up under the frame just a little bit where I'm cutting the picture at. It's just a little bit up underneath the frame so that it's a little bit shorter. So that's my first picture. Okay, and then here's one of my middle son. So I think I'll use that. This was at Disney World at Magic Kingdom. And the reason why I'm choosing gold is because I feel like, well, actually the blue might actually do pretty good. The blue would work better than this darker color. I'm just going to stick with this color since I've already got the glue on there. And it's good to have digital copies of your photos, that way in case you mess up you can always make more copies. So just clip this out. And then I'm just going to glue these to some blue cardstock. You want to make sure you don't get any glue on your photo if it's possible. Like I did right here, accidentally. But it'll still work. I'm just going to cut these out. And since these corners are rounded, I'm going to attempt to round off these if my punch will work right. And then I'm just going to add these to some black cardstock. I'm going to leave about about a half of an inch, no, about an inch from the top. Roughly, I'm not going to measure, I'm just going to estimate. I'm going to make tags out of these. I'm going to round these corners off as well. And then I'm just going to punch a hole up here. And I have like a little star hole punch or star punch. So I'm just going to punch out 2 blue stars of the same color. I'm just going to glue it to the center. I basically should have did that first before punching a hole in it, but that's fine because I'm still going to add a brad. I've gotten these colored eyelets from the thrift store. You know, I think I'll use red because that's just as good. That adds character a little bit. It's not too much, it's just enough. And I'm just going to add some string. Okay, so here's a tag. Okay, so I made these 3, and so I'm just going to show you what I used. These were the Trinket dies, and I just kind of went over it with some embossing, the embossing folder and some gold Texture Luxe paint. Let me zoom back out just a little bit. And I did all 3 the same way as far as the frames. And I also added this little star and eyelet and some cheesecloth, and I just sprayed the cheesecloth with some Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist. And then here's this one. I'd made a collage of my son, well, yeah, all my sons in Photoshop, and then I just put them on a piece of paper and printed it out, 8.5 by 11 paper. And I just, I'm using it for a scrapbook, or it's a journal / scrapbook. And you can use these in here. Let's see. I could tuck it somewhere into a tuck spot. There's just different little ways that you can use the tags. And then as far as what I used for the Steampunk Parts, on the front cover of this journal that I'm working on. This is what it looks like. And then I also made a tag. It's right here. And it also has the black and white collage photo that I used from Photoshop. You can see the gears, not gears, but the bolts. So I hope this video was helpful, and please like, comment, share, subscribe, check out my blog and social media sites, and thanks for watching.